Hello guys, trust you're doing fantastic. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the basic switch and end device configuration. All right, so let's go straight into the document and see the requirements that is needed to complete this task. All right, so this is the topology. So the topology requires us to have switch 1, switch 2, and then PCA, PCB. So it means we're going to have two PCs and two switches. And each of this PC is going to be connected to one of the switches. So you have PCA connected to S1 and PCB connected to S2. And then this is the addressing table. The addressing table contains information about the devices. Now we have the device column where we have the switch 1, switch 2, PCA, PCB, and then the next column is the interface. Interface where we're going to be carrying out the connections, the lines. All right, we have the VLAN 1, VLAN 2, we have the NIC, NIC for the PCs, and then the third column is the IP address corresponding to each of these devices. And then the fourth is the subnet mask, which is going to be the same for all of these devices. All right. So let's go straight to the objective of this lab. First, we're going to set up the network topology just like we have in the document. We're going to do this in the Cisco Packet Tracer. And then we're also going to configure the PC, which is the host. And then we're also going to configure and verify the basic switch settings. Now, if you watch my previous video, I've already treated how to carry out initial basic switch settings. All right, but nevertheless, I'm going to cover a bit of that in this video. If you want to understand more about the initial basic switch settings, you can go to my previous video. And trust me, you're going to learn something very significant. Now, let's consider a practical scenario. You go into the field and you're asked to set up a network of maybe 100 computers. You're given the PCs, the computers, and you're also provided with the switches. Now, the thing is, before you start configuring the switch that has been provided to you, the first thing you need to do is you need to erase any default setting, any configuration that has been on the switch. It might be a brand new switch, it might be a switch that has been used before. Whatever the case may be, the first thing you need to do is to erase every startup configuration. It means every configuration that has been saved, all configuration file that has been saved on the switch needs to be erased. It means it needs to be deleted. That's what we mean by erasing it, initializing it, and then you need to reload. Reloading means like you need to restart or reboot the switch. So this is the thing you need to do in real life scenario. All right, so we're also going to be doing this using the packet tracer to illustrate all of this. Now, require resources. We know how the resources that is required. You need your Cisco Packet Tracer, you need done right now. So let's begin with the first part. It says set up the network topology. So let's go and set up exactly what we have here. Now, for we to do that, the first thing we need to do is to grab the PC. Okay, so let's grab the PC. Let's have the PC drag and drop into the work environment. Let's drag another PC and drop it in the work environment. Let's go to the network devices. We're going to be dealing with the switches. So we're going to be using the 296. Okay. So let's drag this over here. Then let's drag another switch over to this point. Let's give it some little space. All right, so the connection says we need to do, okay, we need to have PCA to S1, PCB to S2, and then we have S1 to S2. All right, so let's go. So what cable we are going to use? Now you can come over to the connections. If you're not sure of the cable to use, it's better you click on this, which is the automatically chosen connection cable. So take this on your computer and then take it to your switch. You come over here, click on the automatically chosen connection, go over to your PC and then click on this. All right, so now let me explain to you the disadvantage of doing this. Now the disadvantage of doing this is if you do this, of course it's correct, but then we need to follow the instruction that says we need to connect from the PC to the switch. We need to connect to the port F fast Ethernet 0/6. We need to follow all of this port to have exactly these connections. So we have to do it rightly. All right, so now you cannot skip this position. You have to understand which cable you need to use to connect devices that are not the same. Okay, so if you're connecting devices that are not the same, then we have to choose the right cable so that we can have the right ports to connect them into. So in this case, we have to delete these ones. We also have to delete this one. Let's select another switch. So in this case, we have to use the copper straight through because these devices are not the same. We're connecting PC and switch. So we have to use the copper straight through. Okay. So once you click on the PC, it's going to tell you which port you need to connect to. All right. So we need to connect to the fast Ethernet 0. All right. We need to connect this PC to the switch, and then we're going to have options to connect it. So the instruction says we should connect it to fast Ethernet 0/6. So we have to choose this one. All right, so now you understand why we have to do that. So this is where you need to understand which cable you need to use. All right, so to connect PCB to S2, we need to connect the cable to the fast Ethernet 0, okay, on the PC, and then 18 on the switch. So let's go and do just that. Okay, we have to choose the fast Ethernet 0, and then we need to terminate it at the switch at fast Ethernet 18. That is the instruction. Okay, so you need to follow this instruction. All right, so the next thing we need to connect the switch 1 to switch 2. So you might be wondering, are we going to use the same cable, the same type of cable? No, we can use the same type of cable because switch 1 and switch 2, they are the same device. Okay, it's switch and switch. So connecting similar device, you have to use a specific kind of cable. Okay, so let's go. The right cable to use is this. It's called the copper crossover for similar devices. All right, so let's go. Let's connect switch 1. The option is fast Ethernet 0/1. We connect to the other switch. It's fast Ethernet 0/1. And that's the instruction. Yes, 0/1 0/1. Okay, that's the instruction. All right, so let's give it some time. It's going to turn green. All right, so let's follow the instruction on the address table. The next thing we need to do is let's change the name of the PC. Okay, let's configure the PC host. Let's change the name to S1 S2 PCA PCB. So for you to change the name, that makes it easy. Now let's click on the name, and then all we need to do is to write this. Click on PC1. It's going to give you the opportunity to change the name. It's going to be PCB. All right, so that's it. So you see the connection is correct. Everything has turned green. Very easy, very easy. All right, let's change the name to S1, and let's change this name to S2. So I've adjusted it to look a bit straight. Okay, we have created this topology. We have designed exactly what we have on this. All right, so let's follow these required resources. It says two switches, a Cisco 2960 with Cisco iOS release 15.0. This is exactly what we have used. It says two PCs, Windows with terminal emulation programs such as Terra, Tam. This is what we have used. Two PC. That's the most important thing. It says console cable to configure the Cisco iOS device via the console port. Ethernet cable as shown in the topology. So we have used the Ethernet cable, just like we did the fast Ethernet 0/1, fast Ethernet 0/2. Those are Ethernet cables which we have used, right? So we have connected the copper straight through cable and the copper crossover, all right, for similar devices, and for straight through for devices that are not similar. Now, the next thing we have not done, one thing we've not done is the console cable. So we need to connect the PC to the switch using a console cable because we want to configure the switch from the PC, right? So the next thing we need to do is to include the console cable. So at this point, let's go back to our connections. So this is the console cable, right? This is the console cable. So click on it and then click on the PC. We're going to connect it to the serial port, which is the RS232. So this is where you connect your console cable on your PC. It's the serial port. Then once you do that, you have to terminate to switch 1, S1. Then click on it. We need to terminate it at the console port, which has the RJ45 connector. Okay? RJ45 port rather. So this is the port on the switch. It's RJ45 port. So click on it and that connection is established. You do the same for PCB. You click on PCB, select the ROS232, terminate it at the switch 2, select the console. All right. Now, if you're wondering why is the port or the connector for the console is different? Yeah, a console cable, if you have seen a console cable, check my previous video. I explained how console cable looks like. One end has the serial connector, which is the RS232, and the other end has a connector, which is the RJ45. So the RJ45 connector goes into the RJ45 port on the switch, while the RS232 connector on the console cable goes into the RS232 port on the PC. So this is how the console cable is. All right, so once we have done that, we've established that connection using the console cable. Next, let's go to the instructions. It says set up the network topology, which you have done. In this step, you will cable the devices together according to the network topology. We have done that. It says power on the devices. All right, connect two switches. Connect the two switches, which we have done. We have done that using the cable to connect the two switches. It says connect the PCs to their respective switches. We have done that. We have connected each PC, PCA to switch 1, that's S1. We have connected PCB to S2. Visually inspect network connections. Now, what that means is, now visually inspect it. Visual inspection means looking at this connection. Is the connection correct or not? How do you know if the connection is correct or if it's not correct? Now you're going to see the icon, this rectangle icon. Once it turns green, it means the connection is correct. It means you have used the right cables, the right connections has been established. You can see all the icon, the triangle icon, they are all green. It means the connection is correct. Now, how do you know if the connection is not correct? You're going to see, or you're going to observe that the triangle icon are red. If all these triangle icons are red, it means the connection is not correct. Whenever you see red, once the color is red, it means it's not correct. So visually, this connection is correct. All right, so that is the visual inspection of it. All right, so let's go over to step 2. Step 2 says configure PC host. Now configure static IP address information on the PC according to the addressing table. Verify PC settings and connectivity. Now this is what we need to do. Let's configure the IP addresses of the PC for now. Okay, it says the PC. Let's start with the PC. Okay, let's take it one step at a time. So for you to configure the IP address of this PC, all we need to do is to check the addressing table. So what's the addressing table? It says the PC IP address is 192.168.1.10 and that of the PCB is 192.168.1.11. All right, so let's go. So click on this PC. It's going to open up this box. All right, so you have to select this option, desktop. Now when you go over to the desktop, you're going to see a bunch of different icons, all right, with different names. The icon that we're interested in is the IP configuration. So this is what we want to do. Let's configure the IP of our PC. Once we're here, the next thing we need to do is to come over to this field that says IP version 4 address. So we're dealing with IP version 4. So let's type 192.168.1.10. All right, so now click anywhere outside this field. It's going to populate the subnet mask for us automatically without having to type it. So it's the same with what you have on the addressing table. Now we check it's the same, all right, for the PC A. Now let's do the same for PCB. So PCB is going to be .11. So all you need to do at this point, just close it. All right. So that has been set. That has been configured. So type on the PCB. The same thing, come over to this tab where you have desktop. Click on it. You're going to see a bunch of icons. So select the IP configuration. Then you're going to have similar display. So for the IP version 4 address, we're going to set it to 192.168.1.11. Now click anywhere outside this box. It's going to populate for us the subnet mask automatically without having to type it. So it means that has been done. So all we need to do is just to close it. Okay, so the configuration has been done. Okay, so we've done that. The next thing that the instruction says, so let's say it says we have configured the IP address for the PC according to your addressing table, verify PC settings and connectivity. All right, so we have verified it to ensure that it's the same. Okay, and then 3 says configure and verify basic switch settings. All right, so this is the part we treated last class in my previous video. So we're going to be repeating the process all over again now with a different scenario. Okay, so it's the same information building upon the previous information. So what we're going to be doing next in our next class is going to be building upon what we have done in this class. So it's a progression. So if you have not watched my previous video, please do well to check out those videos because you're going to be missing some vital information if you just jump to this video and probably jump to the next video without watching this video. So it's a progression. Right, so let's configure and verify basic switch settings. They say console into the switch. Now, when we console into the switch, it says enter the global configuration mode. It says give the switch a name according to the addressing table. So let's go side by side with this. Now it says console into the switch. Console into the switch means enter into the switch from using the console cable. And you can only do that from the PC as long as you have connected the PC and the switch with a console cable. That's the only way you can console into the switch. So we're going to gain access into the switch using the PC. In real life scenario, you can't configure your switch directly. You have to connect your switch to your PC and then configure the switch from the PC. In real life scenario, this is exactly what is obtainable. All right, you can't just go directly and start configuring your switch. You have to do that from the computer, from the PC. All right, so let's do exactly what the instruction says. It says console into. So for you to console into the switch, you just need to click the PC that is connected to switch A. All right, so once you do that, the option you're going to select is the terminal. So click on the terminal. You're going to have this option, okay, this configuration settings. Now, once you're presented with this configuration settings, all you need to do is just to click on the OK button. That's all. So click on this OK button. You're going to get this terminal. So all you need to do is to click on the enter button or the return button. Then it takes you into the user exit mode of the switch. Now, all of this configuration mode, I've explained in the previous video how to navigate into this mode. So do well to check this video so that it will be easy for you to carry on with this particular video, because I'm not going to be spending much time navigating through this mode. All right, so we'll just go straight to the configuration. All right. So let's go side by side with the instruction. It says console into the switch, give the switch a name according to the addressing table. So the switch name according to the addressing table is S1. So for we to do that, we need to get into the global, it says we need to do that. All right, enter the global configuration mode. For we to be able to do B, we need to enter into the global configuration mode. Now, for you to enter into the global configuration mode, that's pretty very easy. All right. So all you need to do is to enter the privilege exit mode first using the command enable. All right, this is the command enable. You can also use the short abbreviation, which is EN. I like using the short abbreviation that makes the work very easy. Now, for you to enter the global configuration mode, you have to use the command configure terminal. All right, but this is too long. I prefer using the short abbreviation, which is config T. All right, conf T, and then that takes us to the global configuration mode. Now, this is the prompt that tells us that we are in a global configuration mode. All right, so these are prompts. The first prompt is the switch ending with the greater sign symbol, telling us that we are in the user mode. And then the name of the switch ending with the hashtag tells us that we are in the privilege exit mode. And then now we are in a global configuration mode. Now to change the name of the switch, we want to change the name of the switch to S1. All we need to do is to use the command host name and then leave a space and then type the name you want to change the name, the default name, because by default, every switch has a default name. Okay, and that name is nothing but a switch. So we have to change it to our own preferred name, which is known as an argument. So this time S1 is an argument. All right, according to the structure of the syntax, this is an argument. I've explained all of this in our previous video. Please do well to check. Now press on the enter key. You're going to notice something. Wow, the name has changed to S1. Right, so that is now the name of our switch according to the addressing table. All right, so let's quickly go to the next instruction. So we've entered into the global configuration mode. We've been able to change the name of the switch to S1 according to the addressing table. All right, so the next part says prevent unwanted DNS lookups. So all we need to do is we need to prevent our system such that no one can use the IP address to look up the domain name. All right, so if you don't have the domain name, you cannot access the switch. You cannot use the IP address to retrieve the domain name. All right, so how we need to do that, we need to use the command no IP domain -lookup. Okay, so once you do this, press the enter key or the return key. All right, so this is done. No IP domain lookup. It means you cannot use the IP address to retrieve the domain name. Okay, so let's go to the next command, the next instruction. It says enter local password. Use class as the privilege exit password and Cisco as the password for the console access. So we need to create two passwords at this point. Right, so the first password is the class, the privilege exec mode, and Cisco for the console. Now, for the console is that we need to go into the line configuration of the console and create a password. So for we to do that, all right, so from this point, we are in the global configuration mode. So we need to get into a sub configuration mode, which is called the line configuration mode. So let's get into the line. So this line we're getting into is the console line. So let's say line console, this is the console line. And since we connected the PC to the switch using the console cable, so we have just one console line. So we say 0, console 0. Now, if you notice, the prompt is going to change. All right, it's going to change from global configuration to line. So let's press the enter key. Now you can see it's changed. The prompt has changed to the line configuration mode. So at this point, we can secure the line with a password. So it says how to secure the line with a password. It says enter local password. Okay, use class for privilege. So for privilege, it's going to be class. For privilege, it's going to be class. Okay. And then for use class for the privilege exec password and Cisco for the password for the console access. So for the console access, so we're going to use Cisco as a password. All right, so let's go straight and do that. So we're going to use the command password. Okay, so since we are here, there's a command called password. So this command is to create the password. So this is a command. All right. The first one is the prompt telling us we are in the line configuration mode of the console. And the password is a command. You leave a space and then you need to input a keyword or an argument. A keyword is predefined by the system. An argument is what you come up with. So Cisco, it's a password you want to give, so it's an argument. You can actually change it to anything, to your name. It will still work. So let's type Cisco. All right, so Cisco is the password we want to create for this line console. Now, all we need to do is to tap the enter key. Now, once you do this, we need to carry out one more step. Okay. Now, if you go through my previous video, you're going to see the step that was missing in this lab. Now, each time you create a password, you must activate the password or else the password will not be active. Now, for we to make this password active, what do we mean? It means that each time we want to access the switch, we should be prompted to input the password. So we need to activate the password we have created. So the command to activate the password that we have created is login. So once you do this, you activate it. All right, what you're doing is that you want to set it up so that each time you enter into the system, you'll be prompted to put in the password. So type login and an enter key. So at this stage, it means you have activated it. The password you have created, it's active now. So all we need to do, let's exit the line mode. All right, we need to exit this line mode. Once you use the exit command, it takes you back to global configuration mode. All right, but when you use the end, it takes you to, of course, end will always take you to the switch, to the privilege exit mode, as well as exit will also take you back to the privilege exit mode. All right. So the next instruction says we should use class as a privilege exit password. Okay. So at this stage, let's create a password for the privilege exit. So let's get into the global configuration mode. So we need to use the config T, enter. So let's type password. The password is class. All right, so once you configure the password in the global configuration mode, what you're doing is that you're securing access to the privilege exec mode. That is what it means. Okay, now we have set the password to class. All right, so in this case, press the enter key. Okay, so it says the command is not valid. So let's check why it's not valid. So let's use this enable space and the question mark. It says what we can do using the enable command in this global configuration is either to set the password or to set the secret password. So assign the privilege level password, assign the privilege level secret password. All right, so in this case, we need to use the command enable password, not just password. So in this case, we need to type enable. So it's going to be enable password, not just password, then class. All right, so once you do this, press the enter key. It's created. So we have secured the password at the privilege level. So in this case, you don't need to use the command login. All right, so this is pretty straightforward. You don't need to use the command login, just exit. Okay, we can easily exit. Okay, it takes us back to the privilege exit mode. Now we have secured the password for both the privilege exit mode and also the console. Now it says configure and enable SV1 according to the addressing table. Okay, so let's see the SV1. Okay, the SV1 is the interface for switch 1. Okay, now we need to enable the SV1 according to the addressing table. We need to enter the login. Good. So it's the virtual LAN, okay, the virtual interface. Now we need to enter the interface for the switch. All right, so the switch has what we call the VTY, which is 0 to 15. All right, so we need to set that up, okay, which is the VLAN 1. All right, so the next task is for us to configure and enable the SVI according to the addressing table. Now the SVI, it's nothing but the switch visual interface. All right, so we're going to follow the instruction on the addressing table. We're going to configure it and then we're going to enable it. Now, after configuring the SVI, by default, it's going to be shut down. It means it's going to be turned off. So we need to enable it by using the command no shutdown to turn it on to make it active. So that is what we mean by enable. So configuring it, it means we have to enter into the interface of the VLAN of the switch. Now, in order for we to do that, we have to do this from the global configuration mode. So let's go straight to the global configuration mode using the command conf-t. Now we are in the privilege exit mode. So let's go straight into the global configuration mode. So now strike the enter key. It takes us to the global configuration mode. But we cannot configure the SVI from the global configuration mode. We have to enter into the interface configuration mode of the switch, and this particular interface is called the VLAN interface. So we need to type interface VLAN 1, right? Because according to the addressing table, the interface we're dealing with is the interface VLAN. Now let's have a quick look. Let's have a quick look at it. It's the interface is the VLAN 1. So this is what we're going to configure. All right, so we're also giving the IP address and also the subnet mask to configure this interface. So let's go straight into, now we have gotten into, now this is the command that will take us into the line configuration mode of the VLAN. This is the command that is going to take us into the interface configuration mode of the VLAN. So we have entered into the interface configuration mode of the VLAN. So let's configure it. So we're going to type IP address. Then we're going to enter the IP 192.168.1.1 space. We need to enter the subnet mask, which is 255.255.255.0. Right, once we do this, it gives us a response without any error. It means we have successfully configured the interface VLAN 1. The next thing we need to do is to turn it on, because by default it's shut down, it's off. So we're going to use this command that says no shutdown. Once you type no shutdown, it means it's going to turn it on. No shutdown. So once we have that, no shutdown. So in that case, we need to type the exit. Okay, it takes us back to the global configuration mode. All right, so let's see what next we need to do. We have configured and we have enabled it. Okay, the next thing we need to do is to enter a login MOT banner to warn about unauthorized access. Now, what this means is this. Whenever you want to access the switch, it's going to warn you if you don't have access to the switch. Okay, it's to warn people who don't have the authorization. It's called the banner MOT, message of the day. So we need to configure that. Okay, so we need to do that in the global configuration mode. So let's go straight. The global configuration mode is where we're going to be writing most of the commands. So we're going to use the command banner MOTD. We're going to write the message we want it to display: authorized persons only. Now, if you write this message like this and press the enter key, you're going to get an error. We need to include a delimiter in order for you to do this without an error, because if you run it this way, you're going to get an error. So let's include a delimiter. So the text should be within this delimiter, which is nothing but the hash symbol. Okay, so once we do this and run, we're not going to have any error. All right, so we have set the banner message. So the next task will be to save our configuration. Now, before we save our configuration, let's display it. Now, let me show you something very interesting. Now, before you save your configuration, this is the command you use to view your current configuration, which is show. Now, but we cannot run show. We cannot run this on the global configuration mode. We have to go to the privilege exit mode to do that. So we need to use the command exit. All right. So from the privilege exit mode, we're going to use the command show. Show command can only be used in the privilege exit mode. So we say show run. Now this command shows us the current running configuration we have done. It shows us the current configuration, the version, if we've encrypted the password. It shows us the host name. We have changed the switch name to S1. We've also configured password to the console and also to the privilege exit mode. We've also set up no IP domain lookup. We've also disabled that. All right. And then we have other information of the switch. It tells us the switch has fast Ethernet interface of 0 to 24 and also the gigabyte Ethernet. So the gigabyte Ethernet is just 2. And then it tells us we have also configured the VLAN using this IP address and submax. We've also set the banner MOT configuration, which warns against unauthorized users or persons trying to access the switch. And we also have set up the login password for the line console 0. We also have the line waiting that runs from 0 to 15. So these are all the configurations we have done. Now we can display that using the show run command. But then after we save this configuration to the NVRAM, once we save this configuration to the NVRAM, we have to use the show startup config command. All right, so the next thing we need to do is to save. We need to save our configuration to the startup config. We need to save it to the RAM. So we have to do that. Copy. We say copy. Now we need to check if the copy command can be used in the privilege exit mode. Now you write copy space and question mark. It says copy. Yes, we can use copy in the privilege exit mode. So we can copy all we have in the current configuration and then save it to the startup configuration. In order for you to save them so that you don't lose them, we have to copy all we have in the current running configuration into the NVRAM. So to do that, we're going to say copy all configuration we have on the running config to the startup config. This is what we need to do. This is all what we need to do. Copy the running. Seems like there's a double space at this point. Okay. So copy what we have in the running config to. So we have the running config copy all we have here into the startup config. Right, this is what we have done. Now, this command looks so long. It might be difficult for a lot of people to remember. So all I need to do, I need to use the shortcut abbreviation. Okay, the short abbreviation of it. Just remove this guy, which is running config. Just there's a short abbreviation, which is just run. And then for this startup config, you can just you can just get rid of this pig, the IG, E, and then just leave it at copy run startup conf. So let's just do this. This is a short abbreviation. This at least this is quite better than the initial one. So this it's easy to memorize. All right. So all we need to do is to strike the enter button or the return button. All right. So it's the same as this. It accepted it. All we need to do is to accept and say yes. It's the same. So strike the enter key, and then it takes you to this part. So it means it's the configuration has been built. So all we need to do, let's display it. Let's see if truly we have done that. So show start up call. Let's do this. We're going to see all the configurations we've done just like we did previously. Right, you're going to see the interfaces, everything runs. You can see all we've configured the same like we did previously. So the next thing is we've done that. We have displayed, we've saved the configuration. We've also displayed the current configuration. So we have saved the current configuration. We've displayed the current configuration. We want to display the iOS version and other useful switch information, which is the same. We have displayed that. Now, what that means is the useful information about the switch. It has line BT0 to 15. It has interfaces such as Gigabyte Ethernet, which is just to 1 and 2. You have the fast Ethernet interface, which is 0 to 20, which is 1 to 24. Okay. You also have this configuration. We've done this. No IP domain lookup. The version of the iOS is version 15.0. You can see all of this useful information of. And then the other part, it says that we should display the status of the connected interfaces on the switch. The connected interfaces. Let's show the status. All right. So basically, this will help you answer this questions. F1, what is the status? Is it connected? Is it active? Is it up or down? What is the protocol? Okay, you need to, don't forget, you have to do the configuration for switch 2 as your take-home assignment, okay, and also record the other part. All right, so let me help you with the switch 1, the interface, and the status. Let's go over. So in this case, so let's see with the interfaces. All right, so what's the spelling? It says interfaces. All right, so enter key, you're going to see now it says your pass Ethernet 01 is up, line protocol is up, connected. All right, so that's the line protocol, it's up and it's connected. So you can write up into bracket connected. Okay, so that's all you need for your protocol. All right. Okay, for status for F1 is active. All right. So line active, you write active or you write up. I think it's better you write up. Okay. You write up. This part is going to be down and this part is going to be active. Okay. The protocol is going to be connected, maybe disable, or connected. So let me show you for 6. This is 1. 6 is up. So in this case, you have 1 and 6. This is up. This is up. If 18 is going to be down. So let's quickly check for 18. So this is 18. 18 is down. All right. So the line protocol is down. So it's going to be down, down. So 18 is down, protocol is down, right? So this is up, this is okay, this is up, right? This connected, this is status is up, protocol is going to be connected, and then where you have 18, which the status is down, the protocol should be disabled. Yeah. Then for the VLAN, we have to check for the VLAN. Right, so let's show the VLAN. The VLAN. So the VLAN is spelled with small letter enter. All right, so space, tap your space key. You can see, let's see what information we have. All right, VLAN, we have active, the status is active. I'm going to encourage you to pay attention to the subsequent videos in this channel. All right then, enjoy this video. Bye.